On April 18th, 1938, a little comic called Action Comics #1 was released. One of the stories in this issue was the first appearance of the Man of Tomorrow, Superman. Created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, the character quickly rose to prominence, becoming a symbol for truth, justice, and the American way. While the character arguably has been in decline since the 80s to the 90s, it became really noticeable in the late 2000s and early 2010s. DC was afraid to make a movie featuring the character, and when they did in 2013 with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, it was a much darker take, influenced mostly by Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy of all things. Nothing like the Superman of the comics, cartoons, or earlier films. It seemed to the fans that DC was afraid to use the traditional archetype of Superman, fearing it was outdated. And while there was a large group of people who would agree, there is still a community of classic Superman fans who want the return of their hero, including myself. But first, we have to understand what Superman used to stand for in order to understand why newer media like Man of Steel doesn't work, and why this all even matters in the first place. Christopher Reeve, who played Superman in 4 total films, once said that Superman was a friend, and that's what people really need most. They don't need a strong arm, one-man vigilante force. They need a friend. We're living in an age when people are basically afraid of contact with each other. We run around scared a lot, and America was founded on the virtues of a helping hand, of going 5 miles to give your neighbor a donkey, or whatever he needed. And I think it's that kind of virtue that's at the bottom, that's the heart of Superman. Superman, or Clark Kent, is a man with all the power in the world, but who chooses to do good. I find that innately interesting and fascinating. There is hope and optimism in Superman. He believes in the good of all, even his enemies. He doesn't kill his enemies. He doesn't even want to hurt them. He just wants them to be good. He wants all of us to be good. He is good. Superman is an ideal for all of us to strive towards. It goes back to the idea of being better than yourself and putting others first. He is the ideal superhero. Now, why do people seem to go against this? I believe it is because society's shift towards a more cynical attitude. We've been through a lot in the last few decades: war, disease, political struggles, and more. It's easy to become cynical. I believe Superman's greatest critics are the people so deep in this darkness they become disgusted with something telling them to join the light. Stephen Marsh, a writer for Esquire, listed his grievances with the character. These are typical critiques of the character, and he feels that he needs to die or be modernized. The first is that he is too powerful. The second complaint is that he's fascistic. The third complaint is that he is an extreme example of Americanism. The fourth is that he has no moral complexity. Ironically, these critiques kind of bring Stephen close to the character of Lex Luthor. Lex doesn't believe a man as powerful as Superman can be good. He is very cynical. Superman's immense power makes his heroism all the more inspiring. The fact that he can do evil, but chooses not to, is one of the many things that makes him so iconic. He is not fascistic. He is not in any way trying to be in charge or to be on the top of the mountain. Ironically, in an attempt to make Superman feel shallow, this critique is actually overanalyzing things. Superman, once again, is just. On the topic of him representing America, as stated in the Christopher Reeve Superman film, various comics and radio shows, he stands for the American way. He does not represent the American government. There is a difference. Now, why does newer media get Superman wrong? I believe it is because DC is reacting to these flawed critiques of Superman. DC has proven over and over again that they are a very reactionary company. This is why projects like 2013's Man of Steel exist. Man of Steel has Clark mope around, seek revenge on people, snap necks, and level a city. This is why projects like Injustice games exist, where Superman turns evil. DC is trying to listen to a group of people who don't even like Superman in the first place, instead of listening to their very fans who have always supported them. You may be asking, why does this even matter? The real reason I think this matters is because Superman should be able to be used as a beacon of what we can be, how we can do more. In addition, at the end of the day, most superheroes, including Superman, are primarily enjoyed by young children. I think it's important that they have a traditional, heroic figure to look up to, especially in our modern times. With that, I would like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. These are all things Lex would